Please tell me I'm not the only one who was secretly hoping for Queen's song, Who Wants to Live Forever, to start playing. The Woman Who Lived, new Doctor Who episode, not really the second of a two-parter, but a direct follow-up from what we saw in The Girl Who Died. We have the return of Maisie Williams, some 800 or so years since the last time we saw her, living it up as a highwayman and doing pretty well for herself, all things considered. And I liked this episode. Overall, I think I liked it on about the same level as I liked The Girl Who Died. And Maisie Williams gives a more notable performance in this one than she did in the last episode. And she was fine in the last episode, as I said, but you really felt the weight of her performance in this one because she did an excellent job of not letting her own physical age as an actress keep her or hold her back from selling the weight and the age of this character. Like, after a little while, I really kind of forgot how physically young she was until, they'd have a shot of her standing next to, a grown adult actor, and I would kind of go, oh, shoot, yeah, that's right. She really did embody that older sense, that older spirit, and the weight of pain at things like losing children, losing loved ones, feeling alone, not being able to remember everything, which I think is a wonderful plot point. That's something that I don't think I've ever seen done in Doctor Who. I've seen it done in books a few times. Douglas Adams did it in one of the Dirk Gently books. The idea that, somebody can live for a really long time, but the brain only holds so much memory. I really like that it was just her and the Doctor, and that Clara didn't factor into this episode at all. I mean, aside from the fact that, as I've said repeatedly, I'm kind of done with Clara, it was just really nice to have him just sort of laser focus on this girl he impacted so immensely, and just the fallout of what he did, and not having someone else that he has to explain it to, or somebody who's going to put it into perspective. It's just him and her, and they got to work this out. If there's a weak point to this episode, it's that the actual plot is kind of bog standard. Not just for Doctor Who, but for sci-fi shows in general for decades. I mean, it's a very old trope. Guy who's after something and says it's for this thing that seems fairly innocuous, but turns out it's for a bad thing. I mean, this is beyond a standard plot. The episode, I think, more or less gets away with it, though, because ultimately the plot is not the point. We're here for a character study. We are here for Maisie Williams' character and to spend time with her and to get to know her, and we do get that. We get that very well executed. It's just that even taking into consideration, it still feels like it's just too generic for its own good. When I think of other episodes that focused heavily on the supporting character, things like Vincent and the Doctor or The Girl in the Fireplace, those both had stronger stories in addition to really solid character study work. That said, there are some good elements. I really did like Sam Swift, especially standing up there just trying to run out the clock and get the crowd on his side. That was just wonderful and fun, and it wasn't gratuitous either. It served a purpose to, especially when the Doctor points out, we need the mayflies. We need the people who embrace every moment that they have because they know it's precious. And I really did like that conversation between him and her in that tavern afterwards, because I wasn't quite in my mind coming up with, well, why won't he take her with him? But I think the way that he explained it just worked really well. I like the name drop for Captain Jack Harkness. I wish I could say that I think that's going to lead to something. I don't really. I think it was just, that's obviously the other immortal character that we've got on the show. Yeah, sure, let's name drop him. But it's nice to think about the two of them running into each other. That would be very cool. I do hope we see Maisie Williams' character again. And I think that hint that we caught at the very end with her showing up in the selfie is an indicator that maybe we're not done with her and we'll get more out of her. It's one of those things where I wish secretly she could become something like River Song, where she would just get dropped in every now and then and doesn't get overused. But unfortunately, the problem is because she is still young, she's not gonna retain that same look. She's every year going forward, she's going to be a little bit older. She's going to look a little bit older. And since they've established 800 years she didn't physically age, that doesn't work. So whatever they're going to do with her, they kind of have to do this series. Maybe at a stretch, they could drop her into series 10. But I think beyond that, they're not going to be able to keep using her. I think the note that things ended between them was really interesting, and I'm intrigued to see what it'll be like the next time they meet each other. That's now 6 episodes into the series, and not a bad step yet. So I guess we'll leave it at that. Did you catch this episode? If you did, what were your thoughts on it? Whatever they were, drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. Until next time, this council is adjourned.